Right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming tonight to our regular February meeting. This time, please stand with us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please bow with us. For God, in His name, we thank you for this day. Thank you for the freedom we have to come together and to discuss the business of this community. Thank you for all these that are here in attendance. We pray for guidance and wisdom, knowledge and discernment as we go about the business of this city. We pray for those that are sick and afflicted, that you would touch them and restore their wellness. Pray for those that are grieved over the loss of loved ones. And we just thank you again for all this in your precious name. Amen. Amen. This time we will approve the published agenda of this state's City Council meeting with a slight modification. Mr. Brighton.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like for under new business to move number 5 to do that before old business.
All right.
Make that in motion.
Your second.
I'll second it.
All right. Have a move and a second to move new business item number 5 to follow or just preceding the old business. Any discussion? All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. All right. Next, we have the approval of minutes. First for the January 8, 2018 regular council meeting. I'm sorry, my mistake. First of all, we have public comments. And the first one to be recognized under public comments, we have Mr. Keith Dawkins, and we ask you please to limit your comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. Mr. Dawkins.
I'm going to ask that I be moved to the end of the business session because I can't present what I need to present to the council, to the mayor, here in 3 minutes. I can't do it in 3 minutes. It'll probably take 10 or better. I've got about 8 items I'd like to talk about. And I just can't do it in 3 minutes, so if I can't be moved to the end, then I'll look at another time to try to do this, or if you want to extend the talking time till I finish.
Okay. Any comments from the council? Mr. Roth.
I would say let him speak or public comment unless anybody is against it.
Okay. Anyone else want to comment?
I think the mayor can
Just judge on his own.
change things, but that would be changing the rules of the court. But I'm okay with it. I feel what he has to say.
Okay. Any other comments? Well, Mr. Dockett, if it's okay with you, we'll
Can I sit down?
save you for, well, if it's okay with you, if you want to wait till the end, we'll do it at the end.
Either way, I can do it now. I'll try to stand. I might fall, but you can pick me up.
Okay.
Miss Bivens, would you pass these down, please? Huh? Pass, take it to After last week's meeting on the 25th, I started thinking about a lot of things. I read the minutes. The first thing on this page tells that I did away with the discounts just on the bill, water bill right now of $6, because according to my knowledge, when y'all put in the $5 base pay on March 7th and 16th, you did away with all the senior citizen discounts. 6 on water, 6 on sewer. So I figured a water bill It seemed that y'all were all reluctant last week to stand up and say, hey, I think our water bill needs to be this or that. So I did one. I raised the rates on everything on the water bill. I went through it completely. I took out the $9 on the sewer base, made it 17. I took that out completely. And on this first page that I give you, and I signed on the back, I've asked you to put on the November election for the people to vote on me, the same as they did in Billerica, to give the senior citizens the same amount of break that the county gives us. It was attempted to do in 06, 07, should have been on the ballot in 08. But for some reason it did not get put on. I don't know why. So I'm asking these two things I would like for y'all to immediately make some type of judgment about. You can throw it out the window, prove it, whatever y'all think best. I think, and I want to show you why I think this water bill is fair. The water bill increases my bill. I think it, I mean, look on the back of it, I think it increased my bill by about $12 or something like that. Under the old bill, I was paying like 56. Under the new, I'll pay 68. That don't bother me. I feel like if you want to run a city and run it the way it should be run, you got to have the money. As I said, that was taken away on March 7th, 2016. On April the 7th, 2014, there was a motion put in and voted on by the council, approved, everyone here approved it. And it took $14.66 out of our monthly income, and it was taking $2 of it was a fee, and $12 of it was debt service fee. Well, if you take $14 out of what you're getting, what makes you think is you're not going to have to use slush fund to pay the bills. That's the reason I raised the water bill to where I raised it, because it was taken out $14.66. That comes out somewhere around $300,000 using today's number of 1,926 customers. On April 8th, 2013, I think this is the right one I want you to look at that, Ms. Bivens. Supposedly you made a motion for us to put $1 million in CDs. The question I want to know, did we put it in it? And is this letter that's behind it that I got, that was dated 5/22/17 this year, is that money that's in the CDs, and it's on your copy there too, I think. Is that the money that you put into the, or you made a motion to go into CDs? Or do you think that's the money? I know you wasn't here for 4 years. Is that the same money? Or would you think it's the same money?
I wouldn't know.
Okay, and the next question I'll ask, supposedly we put $250 each in four different accounts. And it appears that we've got 4 accounts here that's $251,000. So since 13, that $250,000 made $1,061 according to what I read, if that is the same money. We also have added 42 something, and then you got one down here at the bottom, and I don't know if it shows 917, is $311,000. So the way I look at it, and I asked Mr. Osborne about this, and his question was he wasn't sure whether we could pay off our $4.6 million early. Can we pay that off early? We've got 35 months to pay it off. So if you take $1 million and something and you put toward that budget, and if this is all that $250,000 draw from 13 to now, what is the interest on our sewer budget bond? It would appear to me that if we can put that money toward it, that you should at least take $1 million out of that and $1 million out of the general fund, pay it down halfway and make money, is what it looks to me like. Now I might be wrong, I don't know. I'm just saying what looks good to me. I sat over here at the window last week to talk to Bill, waiting on to talk to Bill. And I spoke to Samantha. And while I was sitting there, I realized that there was about 6 or 7 people come up and broke her train of thought in less than 15 or 20 minutes. And she was doing water bills. What I want to know is, how do you think this lady can do the water bills expertly when her train of thought is probably broke 40, 50 times a day, and when she's doing the water bills? How do you think she can do that? I would like for somebody to explain it to me. Also, I'd like for someone to explain to me why did a code enforcement officer can make $22 an hour. In my opinion, whoever's doing the water bill is more important than the code enforcement officer, because they are the ones doing the job to satisfy everyone in this community. You know, I don't know what y'all's thought is, but I think in the very back page that I put in there, I showed that y'all needed to hire 2 people. You know, one to help her, one to help the guy doing the water meters. There was another post went online tonight, this afternoon, after water bills come in. And yes, you could read the water meter, but it was very evident that it wasn't clean enough. It's just like Matt's. We talked about it last week. His was completely covered. Not down in nobody, but either you don't have enough help to do what needs to be done, and I think all of you need to think about that. And in 2014, when we took $300,000 out of the budget, $12.66 for debt service, not one person here, councilman, there's 2 here now that was there then, they just took a big bow. Oh, we give the people a water break. Oh yeah, they give the people a water break. The mayor said the same thing. But the mayor also said, and Todd, I would like for you to read what the mayor said on April 14th meeting, and I'll be finished. Closing comments will be on the 2nd page. I would like for you to read what the mayor had to say. And tell me, if you can, what you thought he meant. You wasn't here then, but the other 2 was. And I would just like to know what you thought he meant.
Looks like he's in agreement.
Huh?
Looks like he's in agreement.
Well, what did he mean, and I can't, I'm gonna try to
The
quote.
first part,
Uh,
first part about getting along,
about the stuff being stopped in the community. What do you think he meant there?
I really don't have any idea what he was.
You don't have no idea. Okay. That's all I've got to say. I thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Dawkins. Is Mr. Tarplett here? All right. Any other public comments? Please stand and be recognized. All right, thank you. All right, this time we will approve the minutes. First, from the January 8, 2018 regular council meeting. What I hear from the council.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the January 8 minutes, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign? All right, next we have the minutes for the January 25, 2018 special call meeting.
Make a motion to accept.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moving second, any discussion? All in favor, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign? All right. Okay, as approved on the agenda, we're moving new business item number 5 to this point in our meeting. We have a proclamation that I would like to share at this time. And after we finish with the proclamation and approval is granted, I'd like to ask some folks to come forward and join the council for a photo. Here's the proclamation. Whereas the Governor's Office for Student Achievement of each year bestows awards to a select group of high schools in Georgia who have qualified to be included among the state's greatest gained schools. And whereas in order to receive the distinction of being a greatest gained school, that high school must earn a 3-year average college and career-ready progress score, which ranks in at least the 93rd percentile of Georgia high schools. And whereas the achievement of Temple High School for 2015 resulted in receipt of a Bronze Award, and in 2016, Temple High School's CCRPI progress score had improved so much that a Silver Award was received. And whereas the 2017 Temple High School was honored and recognized as being one of only 10 high schools in Georgia to receive the very prestigious Platinum Award, ranking in the 99th percentile of Georgia high schools. Now therefore, this proclamation is issued by the mayor and city council members of Temple to recognize and to applaud the achievements of Temple High School in 2015, 2016, and 2017 for being among the very elite high schools in the state of Georgia, as reflected by the college and career ready progress score results, which brings honor to the high school students, to Temple High School, and to the entire Temple community. What do I hear, council?
Make a motion to accept the resolution.
Second. Moving second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the proclamation, let it know by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, the same sign? Well, we're privileged today and tonight to have Superintendent of Schools of Carroll County, Scott Coward, here. Also, board member for the Temple area, Sandra Morris, and Temple High School Principal Tim Griffin. And we'd ask them to come on up here with us and the council come around.
He's the man. He's the reason we got this.
All right. I'm trying. I'll give us a countdown.
1, 2, 3.
Once again, thanks to our guests for coming tonight. Appreciate y'all coming and sharing this moment with us.
Great job, Tim.
All right, next on our agenda, under old business, consider action pertaining to the possible extension of 18-inch diameter storm drain pipe from its current termination in the backyard at 974 Creek Run Place for a distance of some 160 linear feet toward the creek adjacent to this part of the Windy Mill residential subdivision, and pertaining to what portion of the project's estimated cost of $9,275 might be paid by the city of Temple. Mr. Osborne.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, just a couple of comments, and then I'll turn it over for some comments by our city attorney, Mike McRae. This situation was brought to our attention some months ago. We have looked into it and have made a couple of reports to you in the past. But insofar as what the city of Temple might do, if anything, that's an open question. And actually the same thing is true for the second item. We had called this to your attention. I think initially former council member Ransom had done so. And you have a report on that in your book also. But if I could just ask our city attorney to make comments before we decide what action, if any, you want to take on the first item.
You have a memo that we have prepared for you to review before now, and we don't think that the city has any responsibility legally for putting this piping in there and might incur liability for that. And so it would be our recommendation you don't do it, if there's a part two to that. We don't know what the flow would be, and I don't know, did Mr. Ray finish reviewing that?
No, sir.
Are y'all familiar with the situation? Have y'all been out there? Everybody on the scene? If there's a stormwater drain there, and there's a pipe that goes down, say, going toward Tide for me, 30 feet or so, to a concrete header, over a period of time, it's washed out an area. I'm kind of looking at Tide going straight on down to the creek down there. If you extend the line on down by piping it, then you're going to obviously increase the flow from the subdivision into that creek, into the area behind where Ms. Ransom and other folks live, where they're indicating there's been an increase in the volume of water since there was some work done there by Carroll County on behalf of the city of Temple some 3 years ago. So what presently the concern is that you might not, you wouldn't potentially eliminate any of the problem, but just change the nature of the flow of the problem down at the creek level on the property adjacent to the 3 houses affected in that area that they initially asked you to do. Then the second thing is what's happening downstream. I asked Mr. Osborne to get an estimate of whether the volume flow of the water from the piping system downstream behind these houses would be increased by increasing the size and the flow of the area of that pipe from where it presently goes, where, like I say, I'm looking at Todd again, where it would go down, and the piping system would have to be trenched and put in from me toward the creek. So I'll say it again, as you can obviously understand, what we're doing would be increasing the flow along private property of this area to the creek. It then goes, and again looking at like going that way toward the mayor to the back of the subdivision, if you know the creek runs this way. So number one, that's been in existence for a long period of time and occurred over a period of time, as you notice from the legal authority we have. We don't think you have any liability to do that. You've done nothing to increase the volume of flow there. You could create a problem for the city of Temple by increasing the flow. We don't know that. So the part one of that, of our advice, is that you do not do this. Part two of our advice is to see where you are with what's been done downstream, regardless of piping or no piping, what's been done downstream. Is that creating a problem now? Mr. Ray is looking into that now.
Yes, sir.
So that's our recommendation to you. Be glad to answer questions.
Any questions from the council?
Does this creek go further down? Doesn't it run all the way down and then comes out of Windy Mill and goes way down behind more private properties too? Is that not correct?
I think that's right, Mr. Osborne. I didn't
That
know.
creek runs way down through there, is it not correct?
Well, the creek continues to flow on past Windy Mill, and of course, so, yes, ma'am, whatever is done hasn't been downstream.
Well, and Ms. Bivens brings up kind of a second point that I just thought of. I lost some litigation for the city of Cartersville years ago when I was called in as a special attorney to help them. They built an industrial park and changed the nature of one area adjacent to a creek. And when they changed the nature, I don't think it increased the water flow that much, but it flooded 2 houses down there. So once you get on private property and start the process, I'm very concerned about what you do unless you want to do what was done during the litigation in Cartersville. They still lost a hydrology study. They hired a man who was a certified hydrologist, didn't even know there was such a thing, to come in there and look at what the volume of the flow of water was. Well, he didn't think it made a lot of difference, but somebody's house who never flooded before got flooded after the change was made. And I'm sorry, it is a problem, but I don't think it's a problem when you're on private property that the city of Temple can start. I'm going to say part two of what I think Ms. Bivens was going to. Once you start it there, where do you stop and what happens if there's another problem? Then we're going on other private property to see about that. I just have a large concern that I wish there was something that could be done, but I don't think you can.
Any other questions or comments from the council?
Now, you just take that for information only, Mr. Mayor, and there'd be no action taken at this time other than, I guess, as a matter of old business, Mr. Osborne, when you find out about part two as to what may have been done around the sewer area below Ms. Ransom and other homes, I think that needs to be reported back to the council.
All right. Moving to number two. We need report on the surface water problems in the yards and adjacent sewer easement area behind several houses fronting on Creek Run Place and the Windy Mill residential subdivision. Anything you want to add to that, Mr. Osborne?
No, sir, I think my opening comments of what Mr. McRae had said pretty well covered, and we will be reporting back to you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, item number three, updated staff report concerning the staffing and operations of the City of Temple's code enforcement services, including possible action to approve the employment of an individual to fill the position of code enforcement officer. Mr. Osborne.
Mr. Mayor, and members of council, if you'll turn to that tab in your agenda book, all of us, of course, know that we had decided, the council, to hire Ricky Watts, who had served effectively in code enforcement for us before. Mr. Watts decided not to accept the job here when he retired. We had two what I think were very good applicants for this position when we had the recruiting period last fall. I made contact with the other applicant, George Scala. Mr. Scala decided that he still had an interest in the position, and in a minute I'll turn this back over to the mayor, and we'll have Mr. Scala come up, present himself to you. We did include his resume. You'll see that he has a very impressive resume, including career in the Marine Corps, also second career with the Federal Air Marshal Service. I did in terms of professional references, personal references, they checked out very positive. The only thing I would say is you'll look at the last page under this tab, you can see the announcement. We ran in paper recruiting for this late last summer, and also put in my memo. Actually, the salary range, and going back to what Mr. Dawkins said, the salary range for this position is $14 to $22. Mr. Dawkins mentioned the $22. That's the top of the range. As I pointed out in my memo, Mr. Scala has agreed to accept this job. If you agree to have him employed at the step one, which is what we normally do, and that's $14 an hour. So, Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you, and Mr. Scala, and ask him to come forward.
Mr. Scott, would you please come? Council, this is Mr. George Scala, and we recommend him to you to fill our position as Codes Enforcement Officer while here.
I make a motion, we accept it.
I'll second it.
Got a move and second. Any discussion? Mr. Rothman.
I just wanted to ask the attorney, since we have him here, this job was placed in the newspaper closing on August the 16th, 2017. So is there a particular lifespan it has?
Wow, what a good question. Because he was in the initial applicant pool, no. If we didn't have somebody in the initial applicant pool, you'd have to re-advertise.
Mr. Walden.
Is there any kind of training that we would have to send him to that would be necessary for codes enforcement, or if we just train him in-house, or?
We will do some training in-house, and there will be some courses that he will go to, but I dare say, considering his experience in the Marines and what he was involved in intelligence work, as well as Air Marshal and what they did, he's had a good bit of experience on enforcing codes, and I think, but yes, we will do some of that in particular areas.
That's in the budget.
Is this now going to be a full-time position, or are we still leaving it part-time?
It's the same as you had made the motion for when we were looking at this point.
Any other discussion? All right, we have a move and a second. All in favor, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. Congratulations, Mr. Scott. Love it.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Mr. Scott, anything you'd like to share with the council?
Oh, no, I've been a sort of a member of Temple Hood for 17 years. My daughter graduated and son graduated from Temple High School. Matter of fact, they went with Matthew. And so retired from the Air Marshal Service and just wanted to give a little bit back. And I got the time to do it, so I figured I'd give it a go.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, next item. Table from the January 25, 2018 City Council Special Call Meeting. Consider in separate actions the approval of bids for the purchase and installation of fencing and scoreboard for the new ball field facilities in the city's park. First of all, we need a move and second and approval to remove this from the table.
I'll make a motion. You want to put it back on the agenda, right?
Put it back on the table.
All right, I make a motion, we take it off the table and put it back on the agenda.
All right, we have a move. Second by Mr. Walden. Any discussion on that? All in favor, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Okay. All right, Mr. Wilson.
Told me he had some questions, because I wasn't here on last meeting, so I'm just here to answer any questions that you have.
Mayor.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. I got a question for you, Mike, to the attorney. All the bids that we received on this, they're all different. So my big concern, taking any action on any of this, is do we need to be more specific in our RFPs? Is it okay for us to make a decision based off of the bids that we've got? So all three on the fences were different, and all three on the scoreboards were different.
It's going to depend on the responsiveness of what the bids were, Todd. Example, if the bid on the fence, there are three different kind of fences with three different kinds of, I don't know much about fences, gauges of wire and poles and all that stuff, then you want to go back and get more specific about your proposal if you want certain specs, like a certain kind of fence. I haven't analyzed that, I don't know.
Mr. Beckman,
Yes, sir.
just for your information, Mr. McCray, what Mr. Wilson did was he provided three different companies information of a general nature. For example, on fencing, the same grade as we have at this time on road fencing. But one of the problems we had is that he did identify where the fence would start and where it would stop. Each of the three bidders came up with a different video footage for the fence that varied by 40 or 50 feet now. Part of that, I don't think we can explain, part of it was because if there was to be a couple of gates in there, so I'm not sure how they calculated that. But Joe may be able to provide explanation a little bit, but what we do know is that the information he gave them to make quotes was more global than very specific. And if we were putting out a written bid document for sealed bids, we would have had more specificity in what we stated.
Let me ask you then part two. One of the questions that was raised by Todd Russell that would be a larger question for the mayor and council is how responsive is it, or do we need to throw them out and start again? Let me just make it kind of a mundane statement. If everybody bid on a pen, or did two of them bid on a pen and one of them bid on a pair of glasses? And it bothers me a little bit that we're looking at the same footage and we're 40 to 50 feet off. And the more of those kind of things we got, we're not down to the specifics of Mr. Wilson, but the more I'm concerned about everybody's on the same page looking at apples and not oranges and apples.
On the fencing, we had three quotes. Mr. Wilson wanted a 5-foot high fence. Two of them did that. One, for whatever reason, did a 6-foot high fence. We've already talked about the linear footage difference, and the comparative information that he gave them was fencing like we have at this time. On the scoreboard, was asking for an outdoor scoreboard for soccer and football, and each of the three firms had their scoreboards were different configurations. I mean, one was like a longer rectangle, and so we just gave general information as opposed to a list of specifics that we were asking specifically.
In your experience in the past, Mr. Hoffman, from looking at this, do you think it's, I go back to the legal phrase we always use, responsive to the request for proposal, or would you feel more comfortable if we went back and got specific?
I think it was overall responsive to the information we gave them, insofar as whether or not the council accepts the bid of each one of these, or whether they tell us to go back to sealed bids, I think is something for the council to decide. I think the dollar figures we got, we won't know unless you did seal bids. I think probably, just in terms of talking with Joe, that we've got responsive bids, but whether or not the council is comfortable with what they're looking at, that we will have to decide, and we're prepared. Joe, make any recommendation in terms of anything on the specifics, answer your questions. But if you tell us that you want us to seal bids, we'll issue those.
Then now I can answer, I think, better Todd Rothel's question for purposes of the minutes, and that is, you're saying overall it is responsive. So then that's your discretion as to whether you think you want to have a do-over, so to speak, and get them more specific, and then look at them and have them in seal fashion, or whether you want to deal with it.
Mr. Rothman.
That's what I needed to hear before I would be willing to take any action. I know we're probably at a point of some sense of urgency on getting these fences and stuff.
Well, I mean, it's really not the point of urgency, it's the point of the vandalism. So we got people spray painting, you got people up there sitting all times of the night. You got four-wheelers riding across the field. So the money that we're gonna have to spend to come out to repair the stuff that's being taken care of could be prevented.
Mr. Rogers.
All right, on the fencing, it looks like that Advanced Fencing and New Georgia Fencing is pretty comparable to each other, right?
Yes.
Yes, Advance and New Georgia fences.
Okay, and it looks to me like the big difference here is the 5-year warranty coming out of Advance.
Yes.
So, based on what I just asked, is it one of those that you felt more comfortable with than the other, and
Like,
the reason why?
They all three came out, they were all professional. They, I don't have a problem with either one of them, but the 5-year warranty is what really sold it for me, for Advanced Fencing, so.
Because there's not that much difference.
No.
But that means, we're gonna do these individually, right?
Yes, sir.
I feel comfortable making a motion that we use Advanced Fencing for the fencing. Make that motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Bragnell to go with the bid for the fencing from Advanced Fencing.
I will second that motion.
Second by Mr. Walden. Any discussion from the council? Ms. Bivens?
Yes, it says this is only good for 30 days, and we got this in September.
No, he said he'll update. Both companies said they would update.
We'll honor these.
Yes.
Okay, so that we have confirmed that the bids are still valid. Mr. McCray.
Mayor, if the pleasure of the council is to go with this next to the lowest bidder because of the 5-year warranty, let's be sure that we put that in the minutes, that we're not taking the lowest bidder.
Right. There's $200 difference, and get 4 extra years of warranty.
Mr. Osborne.
The other, before that, the last meeting with Mr. Walden, the Advanced Fencing, we get an additional 49 linear feet of fencing under this bid.
For $200. Which comes out to $4 per linear foot, which is less than half price of the rest of the fence. So that would be the advance would be the better.
Any other discussion? All right, we have a move and a second. All in favor of going with the bid from Advanced Fencing Solutions Incorporated, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. All right. Mr. Bracken.
Now, can you talk about the discrepancy in the scoreboard?
Well,
I mean, you can't, you just say scoreboard, and I
Well,
know
that's-
you got a lot of choices, but.
Yeah, so what I did was I contacted 4 companies. These are the 3 that responded back. What I told them was I needed a multi-purpose outdoor scoreboard. So these are the quotes that they sent back to me. These are their outdoor multi-purpose scoreboard. From Varsity are the scoreboards that we currently have at the rec department.
Okay.
If I had known what I know now, I would have never went with, I would have never chose Varsity because it's like a pain to get anybody to come out to do any kind of repairs, inspections, anything. They're based in Kentucky. They don't have any local repairmen. And really to get somebody on the telephone is a miracle.
Have you seen these other two?
Yes.
I mean, you've seen one in action
Yes.
and stuff. Which of those two?
I would say Electromech because, for one, the repairman that comes to repair the Varsity scoreboards, he's an Electromech repairman. Okay, they're based in Wrightsville, Georgia, so that if we need anything, that's like a drive down there, pick up the part, come back, and they'll repair it.
Will they bring Herschel Walker?
I tried to get them to bring Herschel, but so, as far as my recommendation, it would be Electromech. They are, I guess they were the middle. They weren't the lowest. They weren't the highest. As far as customer service, I could call him right now and say I need something, and he'll be right out.
Regarding the Electromech recommendation, in your email you cited that there's a 10-year warranty.
What's a total of 10 years?
Total of 10 years.
Yes, you got the 5-year parts and the 5-year of extra of labor up to $1,500. So if anything were to go wrong, they'll cover. I mean, we still cover it up to $1,500 after the breakdown.
Okay. Thank you. Any other? Yes, sir, Mr. Walker.
Electromech is the one that we talked about when Joe wasn't here, that comes out to a better price per square foot. It's like $94.42 per square foot. It's much larger than the smallest one, which is 32 square feet. But the other two were coming out to well over $100 a square foot. So I think with the warranty and with the square footage price, the Electromech would be my choice.
You make a motion?
I will make a motion.
I got a question.
Mr. Wallace.
On this Electromech, that pricing does not include tax or installation, so who installs it?
They did. Before we start the install, we had to go get the local guys here, Triple B. They installed the other.
But they say here that it doesn't include installation.
No, none of these include installation. We would still have to get them installed.
So that's extra money on it.
Yes,
Any idea what that would be?
about $1,000.
But that would be on any of them.
Yes, that's all. Any of them.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor from Mr. Walden to go with the bid from Electromech. Do I hear a second?
I second it.
I have a second from Ms. Bivens. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor of going with the bid from Electromech scoreboard, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. All right, that takes care of new business item 1 also. Is that correct? Mr. Robbins?
Just as, basically, we would like to take action, Cynthia Guy asked to do that, we've reported to you in the past and included in the attachment that we would be paying for these park improvements out of the 2008 splosh. Remember, we got $100,000 back from the state after we finished up the work to prepare the fields. So that's where that money would come. And this guy asked that if you would approve that's where we would be getting the money to pay for what you approved.
All right, Mr. Brightman.
I make the motion to take the 2008 splosh, the cost of installation, the fencing and the scoreboard.
All right, we have a move.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Wallace. Any questions or comments, discussion? All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. All right, item number 2. Authorize the mayor to sign a roadway lights authorization agreement with Georgia Power Company to replace approximately 293 current streetlight fixtures with new LED roadway lights at a monthly cost not to exceed $3,778.95. Mr. Everhart.
Mayor and Council, the City of Temple had the opportunity to participate in the roadway conversion program. And as you indicated, this will include fixtures over the roadways for 293 lights. The additional cost will be $102.05 monthly. That equates to $1,224.60 yearly. Any questions?
Yes, sir.
What is, why?
Well, currently,
I mean, it sounded negative. I just want to, I don't understand why we're doing it.
well, currently we have the standard lights, and they didn't use the word mandatory, but basically it's down the pipeline that we're going to have to put out the LED lights within 6 months to a year. So basically we want to go ahead and try to do it now.
Is it a brighter light or a dimmer
Yes.
light or?
Brighter light. If you look, do you have anything in your packets?
Yes.
Well, we got people here that probably be interested in knowing what it would change the light to
Well,
look like.
if you can see here, if you look at the standard light here, it's a little dimmer. The LED light is a little brighter. I don't know if anybody will change your standard lights out in the household, and you can tell the LED light is a little bit brighter. So now this light right here will basically light the streets up a little bit brighter. I think we would all like to see brighter lights.
Mr. Rothwell.
I just wanted to point out too, this adds 2 new lights as well, right? Yeah, so.
Anything that comes on board now will be the LED lighting, and that's what kind of sparked this conversation, because we have some new lights that's gonna go on Sage Street, and the gentleman basically told me that, hey, this is what we're going to be using currently. So it just makes sense to go ahead and change them out, our lights to LED lighting.
And these are supposed to be cheaper to operate, right, correct?
Well, the LED
Yeah,
lighting,
LED cheaper.
right. Well, not in terms of the monthly cost.
Right.
But in terms of, I think they last longer than the standard light bulbs that they currently use.
Mr. Walton.
According to the information in our packet, it's going to benefit the power company because they're going to have the ability to tell if a light is out, if it's flickering, if it needs to be replaced, and they can tell all that from the office.
Exactly.
And most likely, we won't have to be calling them constantly to report streetlight outages. So, that should be a benefit for all lights.
There's some frequently asked questions that they sent us, and I don't know if that's in the packet, but once it's actually, if you guys vote to do this, what I would like to do is print some of these up and have them up here for the citizens that can come in and get if they have any questions. But this answers all the questions.
Now, does this pretty much cover all of the street lights in the city that are Georgia Power?
That is Georgia Power, yes.
Okay, what percentage is Georgia Power and what percentage is EMC?
I don't know that.
But EMC hasn't offered
They
anything.
haven't offered anything as of yet, no.
Yes, sir, Mr. Osborne.
And we will contact the EMC to let them know. As Mr. Everhart said, this started because we made a request to Georgia Power for a couple of new lights. And that's when they came back and with their proposal, and we followed through and brought it to you. But we will make contact with EMC to let them know.
And I'm pretty sure if it's something that's down the pipeline, I'm pretty sure that EMC is going to contact us. Because it's probably something that's universal that everybody's going to be required to do. So I'm pretty sure they're going to contact us.
Mr. Bright.
Do you have a timeline?
I think once if you approve tonight, we fill out the paperwork, we send it back into them. I think we'll be put on the list, and they didn't give me a time frame. So I don't know what time frame they do.
Yes, sir.
How soon are they gonna install the 2 new lights for the new business downtown?
Soon as if they approve tonight, right?
I don't know what they will do. If we were not doing the big project, they might take care of them We'll find out,
Yeah, I can
let you
find
know,
out.
but,
But he didn't specify a time frame with those two licenses.
Mr. Walden.
I got one more Georgia Power question. Does Georgia Power provide the power to our Christmas decorations?
Yes.
At no cost? It's not metered?
It's metered, yes.
It is metered.
I have to send them a form in every January, letting them know the amount of lights we actually put out.
Okay, well, they just kind of estimate the usage, I guess, but they're not actually metered, but we do pay for it.
Right. Gotcha.
Any other questions? And what's your pleasure?
Motion to approve?
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bragdon. Any other discussion?
That is just a little bit more than what we're paying now, right? Just $1,000 a year. Sound like a win-win situation?
Any other discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign.
Can I ask a question, out of order to ask Mr. Eller her question while he's here?
Go ahead.
When the repaving is done at the pharmacy, is it, you know, I didn't ask you how that was going to be done. Is it the little narrow strip on the side next to the pharmacy, or is it from the sidewalk all the way to the opposite side?
Yeah, the opposite side, adjacent to the pharmacy.
Okay, you're gonna do that little strip that goes up there and the parking lot?
I don't know if we did the parking lot. We just did the.
I mean, the parking area.
Yeah, the
Because that,
parking.
the discussion of that was that what was done the last time, and what was done was from the sidewalk all the way to the, you know, to the edge of the parking spaces there. It would be at the drugstore and the supermarket and that vacant lot. But is that going to be covered, or do you know yet?
Don't know yet, but and if there's any additional, which we already have some additional, anything that you're requesting that we can actually do, I can definitely.
Because I thought, you know, when we did that whole area, I think that was the discussion. And I was asked that question and I couldn't remember exactly, so that was just getting information for a citizen.
Anything else? Thank you, Mr. Empire. All right, item number 3 under new business. Consider adopting a resolution urging the state of Georgia legislature and the Georgia Department of Transportation to move forward without delay in developing plans and securing funds for construction of a railroad grade separation crossing in Temple in order to resolve public safety and traffic access problems which currently hurt this community. This time I'll share with the council and the audience the resolution, and then you can take it through what your pleasure is. Whereas, while the city of Temple recognizes the great importance of the railroad in the establishment and early growth and development of this community, the elected officials and other citizens of Temple also recognize the public safety and other problems which occur almost daily in this municipality due to trains passing through town and sometimes stopping for periods of time so that the railroad crossings are blocked. And whereas there has been and continues to be a need for construction of a grade separation crossing within the city of Temple, which would permit a continuous and uninterrupted movement of vehicular and pedestrian traffic across the railroad tracks. And whereas the Georgia Department of Transportation is aware of the public safety and related problems in the city of Temple due to train traffic through the middle of this community, including the downtown area. And whereas the city of Temple government frequently receives complaints from parents and school bus drivers who may find themselves stuck in traffic due to the current grade level railroad crossings being blocked by stopped trains when they are trying to transport children to their schools before classes start. And whereas there always are public safety issues because the blocked grade level crossings may prevent law enforcement officers or firefighters from responding promptly to life-threatening situations, and may prevent citizens from being able promptly to reach needed medical care because of the barrier of a stalled train across the railroad crossings in Temple. And whereas we sincerely appreciate the support recently voiced by our local state representative, Jay Collins, and by our local District 3 County Commissioner, Tommy Lee, for project planning activities to be initiated by GDOT, Georgia Department of Transportation, and for funding to be provided through the state of Georgia, including the possible inclusion of federal funds, so this long-awaited and greatly needed project can move forward and be completed before a major tragedy occurs. Now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and council of the city of Temple that our Carroll County and our state elected officials be commended for their valuable support of this greatly needed and warranted project to build a grade separation railroad crossing in our community so that there can be a continuous safe flow of vehicular and pedestrian traffic across the railroad tracks. Be it further resolved by the mayor and council of the city of Temple that the Georgia Department of Transportation be commended for the preliminary work it has done in recent years that should facilitate a decision being made on where the new crossing would be located. Be it further resolved by the mayor and council of the city of Temple that officials of Norfolk Southern be contacted, that they be made aware of this local government's desire to move forward with this project, and that Norfolk Southern officials be encouraged actively to support this grade separation project and to facilitate the initiation and completion of this construction project without undue delays. Be it further resolved by the mayor and council of the city of Temple that the Georgia General Assembly, the Georgia Department of Transportation, and the federal government provide the necessary funding for moving forward without delays with scheduling, planning, and implementation of the very important and greatly needed project of construction of a grade separation railroad crossing in Temple. Council, what's your pleasure?
Motion to approve the resolution.
A second.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion? Mr. Rothwell.
Just wanted to ask Mike and yourself, is this part of the process of letting it be known, and what exactly approving this resolution is going to be the next step for us?
Normal next step is if the railroad is amenable to doing something about it, they're going to require you to determine another area in town that you can decommission. I'm just talking about from a practical standpoint. And so it is helpful to put that public pressure and review on them, but every time I've seen it, when you're redoing this, virtually every time they want you to try to do something from a public safety standpoint, see if there's somewhere else you could do away with railroad crossing. Failing that, then as you probably know, they have total autonomy as to whether they do it or not. And you have to hope you can get it.
And in response to your question, we were contacted by Representative Collins a few weeks ago. And in that conversation, he requested that we, as a government body, do something like this in support of this initiative. And also, he contacted me today, and we don't know specific times yet, but a meeting is being set up for this Friday to involve the railroad and the municipalities of Villarica and Temple for certain to discuss this.
When you set up the meeting, I'd suggest to hope you could have the track master there. He would be he'd be like your regional representative for Norfolk. It's Norfolk Southern.
Yes,
in both places, Villarica and Temple, because you need somebody. I don't know if you ever had it in Douglasville, but you need a decision maker there.
Worked on the one in Douglasville for more than 30 years before it started.
Yeah, don't get me started. I mean, I don't want to hear from me for the next 40 minutes of my railroad discussions. But seriously, if you don't have the superintendent and track masters there, you never get anywhere in terms of it ever getting up the line.
Well, he didn't identify who the person would be. He just told me that he had something.
And please ask him to, Mayor. You want somebody that's got some authority to start the internal discussions.
And that was what, the track master?
Yeah, he's the district track master or district superintendent. Over this area of trackage, they have routes. He might be over 50 miles from thus and so to thus and so. And then Normally, in addition to that, you would have his person in charge over him too. And that would be more like your, I guess, next in command district representative, because again, you want somebody that's gonna get the message back. So many times I've seen it where you've done this, going back to Todd's question, and it sits there. I hope not 30 years, but I've had to sit there, well, you got a record on me, but I know in some places we've had to sit there 10. No response. I mean,
Yes.
there's no response.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, we have a move and a second to accept this resolution. All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. Okay, new business item number 4. Authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with Intertax Security and Investigations, Inc., Probation Division for probation services for individuals who have been found guilty in Temple's municipal court, with said agreement automatically renewing on a year-to-year basis unless the city of Temple takes action in accordance with its provisions to terminate said agreement, and with the specific provisions of this agreement basically continuing the services and arrangements that have been in place for the past several years. Chief Lee.
Mr. Osborne, I was on, he had, you all looked at the contract with the Intertech probation. I didn't have to get another copy of it.
They have a, in their packet, chief, a copy of the current contract that's been in place for several years, and a copy of the proposed contract, with some additional information. And basically, just a couple of comments and turn it back over to the chief, is that City of Temple has used this service for some years. It had been originally adopted and had been renewed on a year basis, but it had not come back before the council for several years, and I felt like that we needed to bring it to your attention. We're past the point of if you said, well, we want to stop it, it would have to run its course this year, because we did not notify them 90 days before the end of the year that we might be looking at change, and I would recommend that we continue with Intertech. They've got a good reputation, do a good job for us, and but if you have specific questions in terms of how it operates, the chief will be able to explain that to you. But this is basically for the purposes, is an agreement wanted after some years of it coming before the council, it had to come before you so that you would be both aware of it. And I would say if you have some problems with Intertech, you can call the chief about those, and if you decided that that you didn't want to continue their services unless it's really bad and you want to get Mr. McRae in, I think you'd be looking at terminating at the end of this calendar year. But Chief, I'm assuming that they're still doing a good job for you.
Yes, they're doing a good job. I see no need to change. Matter of fact, Intertech does probation for all the surrounding agencies. So we'd be kind of out the loop if we decide to go to somebody else too.
Yes, sir, Mr.
I
Brown.
make a motion, we authorize the agreement, authorize the mayor to sign the agreement with Intertech Security Investigation.
All right, I have a motion.
I second.
Second by Ms. Bivens. Any discussion? Mr. Walton.
Isn't that something that doesn't cost the city anything? It's paid for by the people that
Yes, sir.
break the law.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's just basically a free service for us.
Yes, they disperse all the money out. They handle all the cases, all the probation, the fines, everything.
But they cut out of that.
Yes, and they bring us a check once a month.
Any other discussion? All right, we have a move and a second. All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. All right, thank you, Chief. All right, we move down to item number 6 under new business. Report concerning the 1998 girls softball team, the Hot Shots, from the Temple Recreation Department on the upcoming 20th anniversary of becoming the USSSA World Champions, and concerning a possible project to refurbish and improve the signage in the city park, which calls attention to this team and its many accomplishments. Mr. Walter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was thinking about this last year. I knew it was coming up. I thought about it since summer, last fall. It's the 20th anniversary of them winning the world championship in the slow pitch softball. And these were young girls. I think they were like 16 or 15 and 16-year-old girls. But I feel like we need to honor them sometime this year. I'm thinking toward the spring. We've still got plenty of time, and I would like to get some recognition for them in the news media and whatnot. And I would also like to be able to get a price on refurbishing the signs. I've talked to a couple of people, talked to one of the previous coaches. I've talked to some of the grandparents of the girls that played, some of the parents that played. And of course, they're all in favor of doing something with the signs. I'm trying to get some feedback from them on exactly what they would like to see. But I just kind of wanted to throw this out tonight, let you know that it's something that I would like to see happen, and maybe get some feedback from the council on it. And I think there's probably money in the budget, in the rec budget, to where we could redo some signs, buy some new posts, paint, whatever we needed to do. But I'm hoping we could go ahead and maybe start getting some prices on doing that if the council's agreeable to it.
Any comments or questions from other council? Yes, sir, Ms. Bragg.
It's something that's got to be done. If you go out there and look at these signs, this is a beautiful picture compared to what you actually see when you go out there. This makes it look like everything is nice, but those posts that these are mounted on are rotted. The signs are actually tilted in, so I applaud Mr. Walden for his effort, 9 for 1, in favor of directing somebody to figure out what to do. And it would be fun. It would be fun to have a night where if we could get these women to come back and to see, because I know one of them is a doctor now, and there's several different.
Oh yeah, they're probably
probably
in their 30s now, and they're probably prominent.
Yeah.
Now, at least 2 of the coaches are still around. One is Barry Lewis, is deceased, but his wife is still around. Some girls are. But Mr. Bracken was right. The plywood on the back side is rotted, that the metal is laying on. Some of the people want to see just not necessarily new signs, but just see they want to keep the same lettering and just maybe redo the post and paint them and get them upgraded some. But,
Any other comments or questions? Mr. Waffle.
Just want to let the council know, any efforts to bring a facelift to our facilities, I'm 100% behind. So I think it's a great idea.
and I think it would give us some good positive publicity and recognize the girls now that are now, like I said, in the 30s, have families and careers, and it's probably the only time that Temple will ever have a world championship, unless they really get on the ball.
We had one close, didn't we, Joe?
Yeah.
We had World Series. What age group was that?
That was 12 years.
12 years?
Yeah.
They were in the World Series.
But it was a game short.
Yeah, so.
I know right now Joe is pretty much slammed and short of help, so, I feel like we should ask him to be doing anything on it just yet, unless he can get some help.
Just as a footnote to these girls and their success. They also contributed to the school's slow pitch softball team, and many of these girls were on the team that came in runners-up in the state for the classification that Temple was in at that time, which I think was Class A. So they made a big marks on the world.
They did, big impact. And it looks like in '97 they did won the state championship, and in '95 and '96 they won a lot.
It would be fun.
I think it would be fun to get them up there and get some signs we done, get them up there, get some pictures, and get the coaches there.
I can testify that I've been on some trips with these girls, and they're a lively bunch.
They're probably more lively than that. But that's my thoughts, if we could maybe get something going.
Anything else regarding item 6? All right, thank you, Mr. Walden. Number 7, approve the purchase of 2 American flags, 4 feet by 6 feet in size, and then to present one flag to the Temple Elementary School and the other flag to the Providence Elementary School for placement in each school's gymnasium. Mr. Rothwell and Mr. Osmond,
I just want you to kind of, I'm going to take you back to 2 places. To the beginning of this meeting, we started out, we stood up and we pledged allegiance to our flag and to this nation. Then let me take you a little bit back further. It's a little bit further back for some than others. But I want you to think of the gym that you went to school in and picture the American flag hanging on the wall. Does anybody recall having a gym that they went to a public school at and there was no flag on the wall? Every gym, every school I ever went to my entire life, we had flags hanging on the wall in our gymnasium. I went to a PTO meeting at Temple Elementary School about a month ago, and just as we started our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, they began to start their meeting at the elementary school with the Pledge of Allegiance. So as the 200 people stood up in the gym, placed their hand over their hearts, everybody starts doing this. Well, as you know, we have a brand new gym in Temple. It's 4 years old now. So the pledge was skipped because there was no flag to be found in the elementary school on the wall. So it kind of was concerning to me. I went to the principal afterward. I wish Mr. Cowart was still here because I'd like to know, is this a practice that we're not putting flags in all these new facilities that we're building and putting up for the county? So anyway, I spoke to the principal after the meeting and asked her about the flag and why there was no flag on the wall. She said she didn't have an answer. And I said, I'm going to email Mr. Cowart. She's like, no, please don't email him. I said, well, you know what? I think we've got some money in our budget that's for flags every year. I think we bought some brand new flags for the city last year that you guys would have seen around town. So I told her I would look at seeing what we could do for the elementary school. Then I didn't want to leave out our other elementary school since we have another brand new facility which is about 5 years old, and I called Providence Elementary School, spoke to the coach over there to find out that they don't have a flag on their wall in their gym either. So I'd just like to bring to council that I think I'd like to make a motion that we approve the purchase of 2 flags to be hung up in both of our city's elementary schools.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Rothwell.
I second.
Second by Ms. Bidden. Any discussion?
I think that 2 4x6 flags is fairly inexpensive. I can't imagine why they wouldn't have them.
I think around $150.
But when I was in school, in elementary school, we had them on like a pole in the gym that sat on the stage.
When I googled it, there was every gym had a picture of a flag hanging on the wall. So sorry.
The high school, does it have?
I haven't checked with the other schools yet. So
The high school does have one.
Okay.
Have you talked to Mr. Cowart? Is he not?
I have not. I just figured it was something that we could do, and I think it'd be a nice community thing that we could do for our elementary schools. And of course, I will add to the motion, the middle school, if they don't have one. Since we know the high school already has one, maybe I could contact the middle school So I'd like to add to the motion that if the middle school doesn't have one, that we could include one for the middle school.
All right, motion by Mr. Rothwell to purchase flags for Temple Elementary, Providence Elementary, and the middle school if needed.
I still second that.
Second by Ms. Bivens. Any other discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. Thank you, Mr. Rothwell. Item number 8. Authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with the Three Rivers Regional Development Commission, RDC, for assisting the city of Temple in 2018 in an update of its state-required comprehensive plan at no cost to this local government for the RDC services on this project. Mr. Osborne.
Yeah, a memo that basically reminds all of us that it's reached that time again, the city of Temple, like some other cities in Carroll County and elsewhere, have to do an update of state-required comprehensive plan. And if you don't maintain your comprehensive plan, as I point out, basically you lose your qualified local government status, which means that you're not eligible for state grants, loans, and permits. I had delayed coming to you as how we might do the plan this year. Mr. Everhart and I met late last fall with some staff members from Three Rivers RDC as they were meeting with other municipalities, because frankly, that particular RDC, I think in recent years, has had a lot of performance shortcomings. But they now have a new executive director who has a lot of experience in government, Kurt Feldstol, and I think the RDC is improving. One thing about having the RDC work with us on this is that there is no cost to us, which would be the case, obviously, if we were using a consultant firm to do these. And so the mayor and I met last week with a member of their staff, Paul Jones. He had been involved several years ago when the last update was done on the plan as a staff member for the RDC. So my report to you tonight is just to let you know we've got to do the updated comprehensive plan. It has to be finished by the middle of this fall. It's a lot of work that would be done by staff, whether on our city payroll or having the RDC with their payroll. There also will be a lot of public citizen involvement. And in fact, as I point out on the second page of my memo to you, that we've got an immediate task of forming an advisory committee. Now, the advisory committee back 4 or 5 years ago consisted of 9 people. There were 3 city employees, including Sandra Stillwell. There was 1 council member, Howard Walden, and there were 5 local citizens. And if you look at the list, I think the 4 that was on that, which included Don Atkins, who's here. I think that we can need to have an advisory committee that would represent the geographic area of Temple and different aspects of the Temple community. What I would like to challenge you to do is to think about this, and when we have our special meeting next Tuesday, the 13th, if you're ready to look at appointing 1 or 2 people, or at least having a discussion, as long as we get appointed before the end of this month, I think we'll be okay. I will be giving you, before the end of this week, a copy of the plan that was produced 4 or 5 years ago, just so that you can see what was done then. The state has changed its requirements. It used to be, I know that myself and the planning director of Douglas County wrote the joint Douglas County Comprehensive Plan back 25 years ago, and it was 450 pages, which was about what it was back then with all the requirements. That's been done way back by the state now. And as you will see when you look at what was done here, we're talking about a finished product probably of about 50 pages, and you don't have to cover the waterfront as you used to be able to do. But it is an important document that we have to deal with. We will need to have a public hearing. Again, I think we can have a public hearing sometime during the first half of March. We'll be in good shape. That will be basically just let people know what we're going to be working on. I did include here, City of Carrollton is having their public hearing next Tuesday as they move forward with this. But you will get a copy of the plan from Temple later this week. But please start giving thought to who you might want to see on this committee. If there are questions, I'll be glad to respond. And Mr. Walden can make comments as he wishes concerning what went on here 4 or 5 years ago. But we do have a lot of work that we've got to do on this over the next few months.
Mr. Walden. That update was completed about the latter part of 2014 with the people that you mentioned. Since then, we have met with Paul Carroll or somebody from Three Rivers to look at an update as far as what we got done on that comprehensive plan since 2014. And we had some things completed and accomplished. I don't know how often they do that. They've only done it one time within a 4-year period. It is something that has to be done, otherwise you can't apply for grants.
And what I'm asking for tonight is for you to authorize the mayor to sign this agreement with the RDC, because they can't go forward with working with us without a signed agreement.
I'll make that motion that we authorize the mayor to sign the agreement.
Have a motion? Second. Second by Mr. Walden. Any discussion on that? Mr. Rothwell.
Just wanted to ask Bill, since Carrollton ran their ad in the paper on February 30th, does that mean they're not going to have it?
I'm not sure about that.
The notes say February 30th.
I'll take that, Mr. King.
Special edition, February 30th, King.
Any other discussion? All in favor, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, the same sign. All right, item number 9. Set the maximum % increase which the City of Temple employee could receive in calendar 2018 in his or her annual salary based on that employee's merit evaluation, and set the % increase in said employee's annual salary which he or she would receive on his or her anniversary date as a cost of living increase. Mr. Osborne.
About this time last year, you took a similar action, and you had done it the previous year also. A couple of years ago, and I don't remember, and I didn't look up the exact percentage, it was a little less, as I recall, than it was this past year. And the division between cost of living and merit, I think, were a little different. But what you decided about a year ago, that this would be applicable to your City of Temple employees on the anniversary date, based on their evaluation that they would have received, that depending on their evaluation, they could receive up to a 3% merit increase. And if you were to go back, you'll see that most of our employees this past year did qualify for that. Some did not qualify for the full 3%, might have been a 2%, or 1.5% based on their performance. The other that you did last year was you said that there would be a cost of living increase of 1.5%. And that basically applied to each employee when they successfully completed a year since their previous evaluation. But I need you to decide what you want to do for this year, so we can, as we're beginning to get ready to have the first employees, because the anniversary dates are early in the year, and so I need to know what we're looking at in terms of maximum amount that you can qualify for under merit and the amount that you want to set for the cost of living.
Is there any idea how long the merit increase has been for 3%? Because I can remember several years back, it was 1.5% for cost of living and up to 1.5% for the merit increase for a total of 3%.
I think I'm right in this, that the previous year, that I believe that the merit increase, rather than a maximum of 3%, I think it may have been 2.5%. It was, could have been even 2%. It was less than 3%, I remember that. But it's whatever y'all would decide that you want to do and whatever you think you can afford.
Right.
See, I like the merit. You know, everybody doing the same thing, get the same raise. You know, that doesn't seem like fair to me. If you're doing more, if you're doing more than, or if you're doing more above the call, that there ought to be something, some way of rewarding. So personally, I like the idea of 1.5% across the board and up to 3%, not meaning that you're guaranteed to get the 3%, but based on, you know, a super evaluation would be 3%. I kind of like that because it puts the incentive in there. It kind of keeps the salary up to speed a little bit with the cost of living.
What percentage is getting to 3%, Mr. Ross?
Yeah.
Well, what has been the case, and it was in place when I got here, and it's something that you may want to take a look at. Basically, the employees graded, you far exceed expectation, you exceed expectation, you meet expectation, or you do not meet expectation. Well, if you do not meet expectation, if you do that all around, your tenure's about probably up. And if you've got a couple of not exceed expectation, or not meet expectation, obviously you're not going to get anywhere close to the 3%. You may get a 1% if you're good on the others. But if you met or exceeded expectation, what has been the case over the last 2 years, which you got the full 3%. And if you wanted to look at there are 6 things that you graded on, and if you wanted to say that you had to achieve exceeds expectation or far exceeds expectation on, say, 4 to 6 in order to get the full 3%, or if you want to come up with some criteria, we can have some criteria for you to look at and act on at your meeting next Tuesday if you want to.
Mr. Rothwell.
That leads to my question for you, Mr. Osborne. So we have 5 classifications: far exceeds, meets, and do not meets, right?
Far exceeds, exceeds, meets, and does not.
Okay, there's 4. So currently, there's no set of rules as to, so if somebody meets, we can decide to give them 1%. But it sounds like what you just said, if they meet or exceed, we give them the full 3%. So do we not have anything in place that makes that decision? So that way we keep out, we can keep consistent. So if we have one employee that got a meet and they only got 1% increase, then there's another employee that got a meet and they got a 3% increase.
No, so it's if you with your 6 classifications, if any of those classifications you did not meet expectations, you're not gonna get the full increase, and it depends on what you were with the others. But if on all 6, you were marked as being greatly exceeds expectations, or meet expectations, you would get the full 3%. And if you wanted to make that difference so that you got the full 3% only if in 4 of the 6 you exceeded expectations or you greatly exceeded expectations, that would, we can implement whatever you decide.
So you can come back to the formula to say, I like that idea of coming back with the formula and say, if you do this, you get 1%, this, and this, you get 2%, this, and this, and this, you get 3%.
We can come back with something.
Ms. Bivens?
Do all department heads have the same evaluation form?
Yes.
Mr. Rothwell?
So that was my question, or what I want to answer to is this written somewhere? Or is this just something that, okay, well, they got 3 checks, you know, I mean, I think we really need to have a written guideline when it comes to these raises. Of course, everybody's getting the cost of living, but when it comes to these performance evaluations, we need to take the guesswork out of it.
That's the reason he's bringing back the plan to show where you get 1, 2. That's where he's bringing back.
I don't think we currently have that.
No.
I think it's just kind of, well, I think I'm going to give this person 2 or this person 3.
I think most all of them are getting the 3.
No, most everybody got the 3 because most of your employees and their evaluations met expectations.
Sure.
Some were exceeded that, but if you had an employee, we had a few that did not meet expectations in 1 or more of the 6, then they did not. They might have, like I say, might have gotten a 1 or 1.5.
Right, and what I'm saying is, so when you say most, we got 52 employees, right? So when you say most, are you saying 27, or are you saying 49?
No, we've got, I think if we look in terms of between 30 and 35, with turnover, let's say we had 35 or so that we evaluated, I would say that probably 85% of those got full 3%.
So just like Richard said, I just want to make sure that the same person who missed and did not meet in 2 areas, and then there's another employee that did not meet in 2 areas, they get the same raise. We don't have 2 employees with the exact same evaluations, and one's getting a 1% raise and one's getting a 2% raise.
That's what he'd be bringing back to
Right.
us at the committee.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, do we need to take action on the cost of living tonight, or are we going to wait?
We can wait till we come back.
Do we need to table that to the call meeting, Mr. McCray?
No, it's not necessary. It'll just go over to that. Y'all are a little too technical on what you take.
Really?
Bring it on back up. Exactly.
Well, we have to be.
All right, any more discussion on that item? All right. Item number 10, report on the plans for remembering and honoring former City of Temple employee Gerald Red Henry on the late employee's birthday of Tuesday, February 20, in accordance with the resolution adopted by the mayor and city council on December 4, 2017. Ms. Etheridge.
Okay, so February 20th, as y'all know, is going to be Red Day in Temple. And Jason Thompson in Public Works Department and I have been working to plan this event. I got him to help out because he worked closely with Red, and also he's had contact with his family. So that's been a big help. And what we're doing so far, what we have planned, is we're asking that everybody wear red on that day to honor Red. And we will present his family with a copy of the resolution that y'all adopted late last year. His family, Jason's been in contact with his family, and they are available to come at 4 o'clock p.m. on that day. So we're going to present the family with the resolution. We also have ordered a plaque to honor Red that we're going to put in City Hall for his years of service, both in the police department and the public works department. We're gonna have light refreshments. Banana pudding was his favorite from what Jason tells me, so we're having banana pudding and other light refreshments for the citizens and his family and friends, anyone who wants to come out. We also hope that if any of y'all have any special memories or if you'd like to speak at 4 o'clock on the 20th, please be there. I know his family would appreciate hearing any memories or any stories you might have of Red if you want to write it down or if you just want to speak to them. I know they would greatly appreciate it. So that's what we have planned so far. If y'all have any other suggestions or ideas, we're welcome to hear them. And we just hope that all of y'all will come out on the 20th at 4 o'clock at City Hall. I'm going to advertise it on our Facebook page and on our website, so we hope the citizens will come out to enjoy the event as well.
Obviously, Red had good taste in desserts.
Yes, he did.
And if you haven't looked at that, that's a great picture that they've got of Red that we've got from the poster.
Any other comments on this item? Ms. Bivens?
I would ask when we make that resolution that we make copies for all the family, the $3 and Red's wife, please, so that they can all have a copy of that, because they all have children or grandchildren they may want to give that back down to.
Most definitely.
Please.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other comments? All right, item number 11, report concerning the Rockmart Farmers Market and a consideration of the Rockmart model by the City of Temple, with comments by the City Attorney Larry McRae. Mr. Brightman.
Yes. All of you got a copy of the Rockmart plan for the farmers market in your at the last meeting. One thing that there are a number of things that in talking with different people that were of concern. One was it needed to be done at the rec department because the access to restrooms, that if you're running it here for the vendors and whomever, there shouldn't be, there needed to be the facilities for that. Second, there was, the idea of what you should do and how you should do it. The guidelines from Rockmart are awesome. They're unbelievable. It's a working plan. They have a way to have each farmer petitions to be a part of that. They go out and make pictures. It's on the website or the whole bit. It's governed by kind of a panel. So in that, and in looking at that, since we had no real suggestion as to how to do it, started thinking about it and putting through it. So I think that a good way to put this together and to try it, to bring it into being would be for each of us to look in each district and find somebody that would be interested in seeing this farmers market come together. Maybe bring those back to the mayor and let him establish a committee to give the guidelines there. Let them see what they could come up with, to bring a farmer's market. It would define what a farmer is. It would define the geographical location that the produce or whatever was grown in. There would be a process of making sure it was a family farm. I like the idea. It really is neat to go on the Rockmart website because you actually see. There are pictures, they go to take pictures of the farms, of the people who are selling products there. That committee that they have takes it a step further by having, they have various things going on. We've talked about the community, expanding the community from, cradle to whatever that other thing is. And the fact that they were bringing in produce, and they would have little cooking things at the rec department or at the senior center where they teach children, the value of the vegetables coming from field to the table, that type of thing. So there are a lot of things that could happen, and I think if we could, if we could put together a committee like that to take those kind of ideas, those things, and bring it back, that we could bring a farmer's market into being that everybody could be proud of. So my recommendation, my suggestion, doesn't need to be anything other than recommendation.
We need your kind of
Whatever it would be to put that committee together, or that's what I was thinking. So,
Mr. McRae?
Mayor, the only thing I would add is, I assume, Kristen, when they sent this to you, they sent it in Word, so you can change it?
No.
Ooh.
But I can see if I can get it in order.
Okay, because one of the things you gotta talk, one of the things I was saying, are you gonna allow Alabama counties? Rockmart did, I don't know, it's entirely up to y'all. So I think there's two parts. How you gonna do it? Are we gonna, everybody gonna have them one from their ward? However you wanna do that. And then secondly, what part of this do you wanna change? And then give those changes to Kristen and put it up for your consideration in making the final decision. I want to say two things. When Rockmart started this, the committee actually was almost like an official committee of the city. And so I was telling the mayor before the meeting tonight, I'll never forget people up there arguing for 45 minutes about cantaloupes that came from Vidalia or onions or whatever. And what you had was these people trying to get Rockmart themselves to enforce it. And it became, I mean, we'd have whole sections of folks coming up to meetings talking about the enforcement mechanism. Now, your decision as you think about this, do you want to be the enforcement mechanism? Or my advice would be what Rockmart found was the solution. Get people who are interested, who put together the website, did a great job. Let the committee that you formed, gel on how many you're gonna have, 4, 5, 7, whatever it's gonna be. Let them have their board, let them appoint a chairman, a chairperson, do whatever they want to about websites and things of this nature, and move it forward in the right direction. I guess I'm being a little critical about government in a lot of things, but Rockmart's never flourished and never went anywhere until the private sector got in there and the people who were active in it did it. And it's amazing how good it is now. It went from, we used numbers on a 1 to 10, it was a 2, and it went to an 8 or 9. And we got people from everywhere coming. I think the regulations are good, but again, nobody invented this as being the actual ultimate final decision. So look at them. If you see things you want to change, fine. Talk to people you know who are going to be vendors. What would you like to see in here? Because it became a work in progress, and then put it together. The more you can get, I think we ought to keep lawyers and the government out of it to some degree, and the more you can get it to Kristen, let her put it together so you'd have the guidelines. Y'all choose who you want and let them govern the matter. The mayor would appoint the committee based on your input. So I guess I'm kind of mirroring what you're saying, but not have it as a formal part of city government. Kind of like you do Founders Day. Hopefully having more volunteers.
Any other comments?
Yeah, it looks like there would be a marketing manager. Would that be somebody within the committee? And I'm assuming they would be on site anytime that the market was open. And is that a paying position?
Good question. And it was volunteer for a while, and it got so big that they're paying a per diem to the person. And the great thing about that, the committee is handling it because it's tax exempt. You got a tax exempt number. The committee can handle that internally, and then they just have they pay them on a contract basis. Probably they're not an employee. They're not on the payroll or anything. They just pay them per diem to do that, and that's proven to be very helpful too. Mr. Bright.
Well, it was also, and I noticed that if you were going to be a vendor, there was an application fee that they used there, and I was thinking, if you're actually going to ask somebody to drive to wherever our outermost being, Howard County or whatever those counties are in Alabama, if you're going to ask somebody to go there and make pictures, there probably does need to be some kind of mechanism in there. So there's a couple of places in there that regenerate, probably not totally enough, but it regenerate. Maybe, and it might be we could get volunteers willing to do that until we could get something established. But
people in your community that you want to get interested in this project, the key factor, seriously, that kept happening is that, and this is my version, I'm not saying this is what happened, somebody went to the state farmers market up here around Atlanta, got stuff, and came back to Walmart and sell it. And nobody policed it, and so that became a real bone of contention. I'm out here on my farm, and I've grown it, it's there. You know, I kept the bees, I got the honey, and then you went over to the farmer's market and got some, and you're competing.
well, that was a part of the, I noticed in going over those regs was that, I'm sorry. Oh, the regs was the fact that that committee, somebody on that committee actually went out and toured the farm. Yeah, and it became advertisement for the farmer, and it was good for the person that was going to purchase whatever, because they had pictures right there on the internet. You could see where the farm was, you could check it out. And I'm quite sure that if you wanted to buy beans on the day other than whatever day the market was, you could drive up and buy beans from that farmer. So it looked like it looked like it would benefit everybody. And I think that, to me, we're going to have a local farmers market. Let's have a local farmers market. I wouldn't like that. You can go to the grocery store and buy the exact same thing that would be coming in like that. But the pictures or the application fee would prevent that.
It went from an issue to a non-issue.
By having somebody to kind of monitor it. I think it's a great thing, and I'd like to see us do it. I'd like to see it. I think that anything that we can do where we're involving a larger number of people in town, the better off we are, the better it works, the better it's sold. So I like the idea of having the diversity that would come from each of our wards, having somebody to be there.
Any other comments? Mr. Rothwell?
This of course, the Rockmart model is great. It's almost identical to the one I presented from Villarica. I mean, it's the same thing, that you got the regulations, you got a market manager. I could foresee, and I like the term that you use, Mike, to keep the government out of it. I could foresee us appointing our friends or whoever to this committee, and then it becoming a political issue where it's, we're not going to let this vendor in, or just somehow, as you said, the government screws it up. And I could just foresee it becoming that, so I don't know how we would appoint these committee members or how it would happen. I guess, with a vote or whatever, but we need to decide. There may be a group of people out there that are willing to take this on without being appointed by us, and they can reach out to us and say, hey, I'm interested in being part of this group. And then they form the nonprofit. In that group of nonprofit?
It uses the city's nonprofit status.
Okay. So,
which is great. You ain't got to do another forming of another.
Sure. But the reality of being a farmer in this state, you have a lot of protection. If somebody wanted to dig up their backyard full of tomatoes and bring it out here and set it up anywhere in this city, they're pretty much afforded that right to do so. They're protected by law. If they're the producer, they don't have to have a business license. They can set up and sell anywhere, as long as they're not trespassing on private property. So, I'm glad to hear that you want to move forward. I just hate to see us screw it up.
Mr. Wallace?
You may have just answered my question, because ever since I've lived here, over there at I-20 in the summertime, old fella sets up and he sells watermelons every summer. So how would this affect him? I mean, could he do that on Saturday like he does now?
It wouldn't stop any of that.
It wouldn't stop any of that? Okay.
It would just collectively give people a place to come.
Right.
So that if it worked out to be at the rec department, there would be parking
They got an
and all of
area.
that. You don't have to pull off on the side of the road, you got a place where you can come. Might be a good time to walk around the track while you live.
So basically, we're just furnishing a location. And that's, and whatever guidelines we put. And then a committee or somebody is gonna be, they won't be coming to us and saying, he's selling tomatoes from the farmer's market, I don't like that, and the arguments like you were talking about in
The committee is supposed to take care of
That being
that,
handled.
because they got the guidelines
Right.
for who comes in. Now, it's like, there is no effort whatsoever by this to stop. I know there was somebody that was selling apples down here in one of these parking lots. They went to North Georgia, got several bushels of apples on back. There would be no policing that, no nothing. That's something entirely different coming from a different area. Just give the local farmers a place to come where there are going to be others. It gives if you're wondering whether or not you want to buy a product from that farmer, you can then go to the website and you can look at the pictures from the farm. You can find out where it is. You can even go and check it out. So it just that's kind of the way people like to do things. They like to know, the farm and where, how they're raising, whether it's organic, non-organic. If I'm gonna buy cheese, I want to see the vat they're growing that cold thing, that kind of thing. So I think it would be a good thing just to, like to say, take that Rockmart model and look at it and see what we'd like to do with it.
Ms. Dibbitt?
I have a question for Mr. McCray. I know when Rockmart started this, they were really small, and now they've got chains and things in there. We're starting this with businesses already here selling things. So did they get a backlash from businesses on this because it's going to cut out of their profits?
What a good question. And the answer to that is no. I don't know, just because it was, that niche of just the farmer's niche and they were doing their other stuff, but we have not had a single complaint that I'm aware of at any meeting from anybody, which is highly irregular for government.
Mr. Walden?
I'm curious, and maybe Mr. McCray can answer this. How is it handled with let's see, it says all vendors must accept food stamp tokens for approved food items, and then they turn their tokens in to the market manager to tally the total each day. How do they get paid for that? Do you know how?
No, sir.
Don't know how that's handled.
There's probably something you have added later.
I think it'd be good, like, we can let's go back to the bill record discussion and the Rockmart discussion. Whoever's done it, in either the first setting or now, whoever's doing it now, put all this together in some fashion. It would be great to get all that as a part of, here's our guidelines, so everybody understands that.
Mr. Rothman?
Kind of answer Howard's question. There's a couple of programs. One that I personally worked with in Villa Rica was with Tanner Healthcare. Once a month at the Villa Rica Farmers Market, they invite children out. They have little activities for the kids, and then they give kids these fake money. And the kids can spend that fake money with each vendor. And at the end of the day, the vendor takes the coupons or the fake money or whatever and takes it to the market manager, and then the market manager pays them the cash money for the tokens received from the kids. Tanner Healthcare sponsors that. So Tanner's involved with the Carrollton Farmers Market. They're also involved with the Villa Rica Farmers Market. I don't know if they participate up at Rockmart or not. Is Tanner a part of?
Floyd does that.
Okay, but is there something similar that's going on? And then this is be more specific to answer. There's a program called Wholesome Wave, which each vendor or farmer can sign up to be a part of, and they can accept food stamps themselves, and in fact, they get paid 2 for 1. So if somebody's using a food stamp card with a farmer, they get $4 worth of produce instead of $2 worth of produce. Or they'll get $20 worth of produce for $10. And then the USDA supplements the farmer the rest of the money. So there's a lot of programs that are out there that like Tanner, I'm not gonna say, yeah, 100% they would be here, but I see them active in these farmers markets. So I can see where Tanner's gonna come, then you're gonna get the advertising from Tanner Healthcare, bringing out, because you have different market days all over the county, and people are coming, and they're either they're bringing their kids and letting their kids buy produce with that, or they're using their food stamps and getting 2-for-1 money on their food stamps with the farmers.
Mr. Bradley?
At the high school, we've got farm to table where they're actually buying from local farmers and using the produce in the farm in the cafeteria. And they're doing a lot of things with that. They're doing a lot of things down in the elementary school. And I know that a teacher at Temple, she's the wife of the art teacher. She has a project that they're working with. It's dealing with kind of the same thing, the composting and organic farming products. So there are a lot of ways it could go, and there are a lot of people who really are interested in seeing something like that.
Yes, sir.
One more comment. I do think we need to appoint people from within the city that are, or stakeholders in the city to run it or be over there. I don't think we just need to go out here looking for a group of people somewhere to come in and run it like Mr. Rockwell says.
Is there any action that we are wanting to take tonight?
I think you need to do a couple of things. First of all of you take what's in your handbook, in your workbook, and look at what you want to do about the regulations or changes in those. You'd see if you could get it in Word format, so you could, anybody's got changes, you can show the changes and highlight them, and let's do that. And then I think part 2 would be, if we wouldn't take any action on it, the first would be to look at that. Part 2 would be to see what kind, if you want to put it on your website, see what kind of interest you got. Put it on your website, let's see kind of where you are with that. That would be part 2. And then part 3, as you come back and determine what kind of interest you got, then you can see where you go with your committee, have them meet, you want to go forward with that. But I hope we fix to get rid of this weather, and we won't have spring, so I think you need to go about your business between now and your next meeting.
We might need to do part 2 first.
I think you're going to be surprised. I think there are a lot of people out here that are interested in it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. McRae.
Yes, sir.
Any additional comments before we move forward? All right. Item number 12. Authorize the City of Temple's participation in the 2018 Georgia Cities Week celebration and activities to be held on April 22 through 28 and sponsored by the Georgia Municipal Association with the theme of, quote, Georgia Cities in the Spotlight, end quote. Ms. Etheridge.
So I know the past 2 years that I've worked for the City of Temple, we have participated in Georgia Cities Week. I didn't realize I needed y'all's authorization to participate, and I've already sent in our registration form because I try to do things in a timely manner. So I hope that you'll approve that we can participate again this year. I don't have any of the events or anything lined up yet. I just got some information from GMA today about Georgia Cities Week, so I'll come back to you later with what we plan on doing. But if you could approve that we proceed with this, that would be awesome.
What's your pleasure, council?
I make a motion to approve our participation.
Second.
Second, Ms. Bivens. Any discussion? All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. Thank you, Ms. Etheridge. All right, item number 13. Announcement by Mayor Johnson of appointments of city council members to the committees included in the Temple City Charter, including appointment of the chair of each committee. In your packet, your notebook, you have the section identified where that's stipulated, and also a copy of that after the list is provided. So I will hereby announce the committee appointments. First, on Personnel Committee, Chairperson Richard Bracknell, Sitting Member Howard Walden, and just a reminder that on all committees, the City Administrator and the Mayor are automatically on the committee. Budget and Finance, Chairperson Taryn Bivens, Sitting Member Howard Walden. Parks and Recreation / Senior Center Committee, Chairperson Richard Bracknell, Sitting Member Todd Rothwell. On the Public Safety Committee, Chairperson Howard Walden, Sitting Member Taryn Bivens. On the Public Works / Wastewater Committee, Chairperson Tom Wallace, Sitting Member Richard Bracknell. And on the Community Development Committee, Chairperson Todd Rothwell, Sitting Member Tom Wallace. That completes my report. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
Who will be calling the committee meetings together? Will that be the mayor, or will you direct Mr. Osborne to set up dates, or we're going to have a particular day each month?
I think we will be aiming at scheduling this on the last Monday before the regular meeting. So that's going to be the last Monday of the preceding month. So
it's the Monday before the...
So we'll have a week before the meeting.
Yes, sir. After the committee meeting occurs and whatever transpires, and then staff can prepare for the regular meeting the following Monday.
And you see with the committee meetings, they would set the agenda with that point too. You also need to be able to do it.
And the way this will occur too is these committees will come together at the same place, same time, and then each committee will have their turn to manage whatever business needs to be managed. The chairperson will lead that section and that portion of the meeting. And then when that committee's business is taken care of, then we'll move to the next committee until everybody's finished. Ms. Bivens.
On the finance committee that I'm on, and I request that Ms. Cynthia make all of our committee meetings so that we can have the information that we need on our budgets and stuff. Thank you.
All right. Okay, move. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say I'm glad to see this. I'm glad that you are bringing this out. I feel like we've treaded water for a long time. And this will give us an opportunity to work on things and discuss things before we're sitting here at the meeting every month. I just think it's a great idea. I'm glad to see that you brought it back in.
Thank you, sir.
A long time coming.
Ms. Bivens.
May I also make sure this is public meetings, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, absolutely.
I just want to make sure they're public.
Notice and all that stuff has to be done because a member of the council is on there and or the mayor, and we also need to post them to provide the clerk with some more work and take minutes of the meeting. So all those need to be accomplished.
Thank you, sir. Anything else? All right, let's move to the next item, number 14. Report concerning the development and approval of a policy governing the use of cell phones owned by the City of Temple and assigned to various city employees. Ms. Walton.
We are in need of an updated cell phone and computer policy, technological policy. Ours is somewhat outdated. I got to looking at it. It talks about cell phones, but it doesn't talk about data gigabytes or watching YouTube videos or movies on their phones. I'm hoping that Mr. McRae can help us come up with a better one. I haven't looked at the one from Rockmart. Now, we had one in a package that was provided to us. I'm not so sure that it's stringent enough or covered enough. I want to briefly tell you how I got interested in this. I was reviewing some cell phone bills from last fall. Stumbled across one that was excessively high with a lot of usage. And I think it's just simply because of not enough oversight or no oversight over the phones. I'm not going to mention, of course, any names or any departments. I do want to show you what can happen if there's no oversight on our cell phones. And I'm going to talk about this one phone in particular that over a period of just one cycle, and this is not even all the cycle, over one billing cycle, there were over 10,000 text messages and videos, incoming and outgoing. And this stack right here covers only 16 days of it. And they're all just completely full. It covers all hours of the day and night, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And after I got to asking questions, and this went on for a couple of months, over 2 months, or 2 billing cycles, there was over 20,000 text and video messages, not to mention the excessive number of gigabytes. I'm pleased to say that it's now under control. The messaging now is down to like 37 rather than 10,000 in a billing period. But the cost was excessive for a couple of months. The cell phone bill for the city cell phones back at that period, back last October, November, was running about $2,900 a month. It is now down to around $1,700 a month. So it's dropped by like $1,200 a month just by cutting back on the usage on one cell phone. But, you know, that shows the importance of having the policy and having it updated and making sure that all the employees have it. And to let all the employees know that somebody will be looking at the cell phone bills. Now I will say that this pretty much was an isolated incident. Most of the employees did very, very well. This represented only about 1% total, or less than 1%. So I commend the rest of the employees for the way they use theirs. But I just wanted to get that out and just let you know what can happen if there's no oversight. But I think now there's going to be more oversight with the department heads, and especially since there were just some committees appointed. I think that would be some oversight from some committees. But I do want us to work on getting an updated cell phone and technology policy.
Any other discussion? All right, thank you, Mr. Walker.
Yes, sir.
Item number 15, report on the schedule for city council activities on Tuesday, February 13, starting at 6 p.m. and including the subjects of water and sewer, zoning and future land use maps, and other matters to be identified by Mayor Johnson and the call to be issued later in the week. Mr. Osborne.
And what the mayor says is the key, and we will be getting to you later this week, as I mentioned, a copy not only of the comp plan from 4 or 5 years ago, but I've got a conference call tomorrow to go over the draft on the rate study that Philip Reed of the Georgia Rural Community Assistance Project has done, and we will have that to you by the end of the week. we will finalize the agenda. The mayor will we'll do that on Thursday, so we can get it in Sunday's newspaper. Like I say, we'll have the material for you by the end of the day Friday. So we'll see you here a week from tomorrow night, 6 o'clock.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Osborne.
No.
Department directors, anybody else need to add or have speak to the council? Yes, sir. Mr.
I just
Wilson.
have a question. At the farmer's market, what time of the year or when?
Potentially year round.
Okay. Anything else from our department directors? Mr. Rothwell.
I wanted to help Jody. I guess you're concerned with the traffic and when you got games and stuff going on. So we got stuff going on Saturday and you're filling the parking lot up with kids and their parents. The rec department may not be the best idea for a location.
Maybe. It's gonna be tough, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
All right, anything else from our department directors? Ms. Stillwell.
What kind of cooking are they gonna do in the center?
That's a long way. That's a long way up. They might bring a Bunsen burner up there and cook it over the fire.
Your question is noted, ma'am.
They would have to get with you to begin with, and you would plan it.
All right. Any closing comments from the council? Mr. Wallace.
Nothing else, man.
Mr. Rothwell.
Well, thank everybody for being here tonight. Appreciate you coming out.
Mr. Bradley.
A good day.
All right. Mr. Walden.
I just appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate the mayor appointing some committees. I think that's going to get us on the right track as far as getting some things done.
Ms. Bivens.
No comment, thank you.
All right. Mr. McRae, anything to add?
No, sir, let's go on.
Thank everyone for coming tonight. I hear a motion to adjourn.
Good.
Second by Mr. Walden. All in favor, let me know by rising to your feet. We are adjourned.